First things first, this is kind of serious, but I do want to talk about it. If you did see this thing about Bam Margera, who has been having kind of a bit of a breakdown due to the fact that he's
for the past couple of decades, right?
Yeah, well,
he's been on sort of an on and off breakdown for a while.
He gave this he put out this video that I found to be a little bit concerning. So I wanna play this for everybody here. What it is he's not just going through issues with drugs. He's clearly going through issues with his ex-wife and his child, and it's really, really harming his mental health. And I think that he has to. There's some accountability issues here that I noticed right away, given my own past and my own history. So I'm gonna play that video for you right here. So here it is.
This is an official message to anybody that cares about me whatsoever. I haven't seen Phoenix in 2 fucking months. And I'm so fucking fed up. I cry every day. I miss him so much, and I know that I have to wake up every day knowing that I probably won't get to talk to him or see him. So yes, Nikki drives me to fucking drink. So does my fucking mom. And so does my fucking pep talking dad who tells me nothing but I'm a fat fucking loser, piece of shit, drug addict fucking loser. So, and my mom is a brain fucking manipulator, and my brother stole Castle Bam, and he thinks it's called Castle Jess, and then I have to listen to my mom say, Bam, you do have a house. Really, Abe? Where? Well, it's Castle Bam. Well, if I go there, then the police will come. And Naveed the shaman, my best friend, came in from fucking Persia, and I can't even go show him my own property. I gotta stand behind the gate. So yeah, April, I don't have a fucking house. So I'm gonna smoke crack with the bums down at the boardwalk until I'm dead, unless you deliver me fucking Phoenix. Get to work, Nikki, or anybody that wants to help.
That is unfortunately a sign of, look, custody battles, as we know, are historically very, very bad for a lot of people in relationships. If one gets full custody and somebody that really, really wants to be part of that child's life isn't given permission to do so, but he's clearly in no position to be around a child right now. That seems very, very obvious to me. And the first thing that hit me was that he's blaming everything on other people, right? Like, he's not taking responsibility for his own actions. Even just the idea that not understanding that making this video is harming your ability to see your own child is a sign that you're not able to get through it yet. And it just makes me wonder how much, for an industry like Hollywood, like how far do you have to fall in the public eye before you can actually go and get help? Because everyone has tried to help him. All his friends have tried to help him. And it makes me sad. Like, to see something like that with somebody who has kids, who has children, where that's part of the issue, right? Like, you have to worry about how your children will be affected with your behavior.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the conversations you have to have, talk about someone's maturity. I mean, he is blaming a lot of stuff on his family members. I understand that your family circumstances do influence how you perceive the world, but obviously you're ultimately responsible for your decisions. What bothers me the most is that he's like leveraging his child to, like, as an excuse, like, either you let me see this kid or I will continue to abuse drugs. And, like,
not understanding that his behavior, him harming himself, hurts other people.
Why would anyone be like, well, you make a good point. We'll bring you a small, this child looks, from the photos, looks very, very young.
Yeah.
If your excuse to abuse drugs is like, well, I'm not going to see my kid, like, how do we know you're like a safe and stable person to be around this child in the first place? Like, hopefully you'd want to be sober because you want to put your best foot forward for your child. You wouldn't have to be like, well, you bring him to me right now, or I'm going to, it's all of y'all's fault that I'm, abusing substances.
That's that weird phenomenon where someone isn't getting what they want, so they start acting out and being more of a bad person. Like, they're not getting what they want because they're kind of an asshole, so they get angry and they become more of an asshole. And that's like, well, that's defeating the purpose. The reason you didn't get what you want in the first place is because you're an asshole. So, like, the kid, they're not giving the kid to him because he's a crackhead or whatever. And now he's saying, I'm going to be more of a crackhead if you don't give me my kid.
Right.
Right.
It's like, dude, what? This is for your therapist, Bam. This is not for TV.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like that's the whole point of the therapist, right? It's like putting this out in the world. Like, that's in a safe place. You could kind of vocalize that type of frustration, but not in public and expect it to not come back on you.
I'm sure his ex-wife has now downloaded this video, submitted it to her lawyer in case in the future they want to renegotiate custody. And she's like, look, this guy is threatening to do drugs and harm himself, basically, because he's saying, you'll find me by wherever. unless I produce my child to him. Like,
And-
that's not a stable or safe environment for the kid, and that's ultimately what everyone in this scenario should put first. Unfortunately, I just don't think Bam has the maturity to do that. Like, I know addiction is a very complicated thing, but on top of that, this person is immature. They can't see that they have brought a child into the world, and at a certain point, your needs have to come secondary to your child's needs, especially when it comes to their safety.
Well, even in this case, it's not even about the child's needs becoming second. He needs to put himself first and take care of himself before he can even think about being part of what the child needs.
But that's like the same edge of a second edge of the same sword, right? Like, if he put himself first by getting sober so that he could be with his kids, he's also putting his kids' needs first.
Yeah.
Like, saying I am going to abuse drugs unless you give me what I want, to your point, is this like very strange paradox of thinking that you deserve something or that someone owes it to you for you to get your life in order. And in this case, like, you actually owe it to your kid.
Yeah. I mean, his kid and himself. Like, does he want to have a fulfilled life where he gets to be part of his child's
I just don't
growing
think he
up?
wants to give up the lifestyle he has right now, is what it sounds like.
And it's hard for people in that position, especially when you haven't kind of humbled yourself to the point where you know you need to do something about it and take care of yourself. Like, it's very hard to find yourself in that position without something bad happening in a lot of respects. Did you see that Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are both having kids?
No, right now they are.
In 79 and 82. And
one of them, Al Pacino, asked for a paternity test because he was like, I don't think I can father kids. You got to prove it to me that this is in fact my child.
apparently
And
it's
she's
true
a-
because they're still together.
And that girl was Mick Jagger's ex-girlfriend.
She's
So-
20. She's 29.
Holy
and she
God.
was Mick Jagger's girlfriend before them. But what's funny about that is, like, somebody's like, because I saw some posts on Twitter where people are saying, like, they called her a 29-year-old teenager. Like, what, he's abusing her. I was like, it's actually more plausible that she's abusing him with dementia
Yeah.
than it is that he's abusing a fully
I think it was-
functioning 29-year-old woman.
Yeah, I think it was maybe Liz Wheeler on Twitter who was like, no, she has like, either she has a very specific type, extremely older men, or she is specifically looking for like late age older men to potentially father children with.
Anna Nicole Smith all over again, except for just not just waiting him to die, but trapping him in there. But my point was, I was like, he's having kids. That Al Pacino's going to be 100 before that kid's 20.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, is that there's some moral or ethical discussions to be had there about whether it's the right thing to do to raise your to father a child when you're not even going to be able to around for less. You'll be around for less than a quarter of their
Well,
life.
and if I remember the story correctly, and Al Pacino asked for a paternity test, he did not think he was going to father a child.
Yeah.
So it's not like this was a consensual, hey, I love you so much, let's bring a child into this world. This is like some sort of weird surprise situation, which I think is also complicated to bring children into.
Do you think for Bam Margera's situation, this is the type of thing that he can come to a realization on his own, or is he going to need help to do so?
He can, but I mean, alone on his own is kind of
Not without help, but I'm saying, will he come to the realization, like for a lot of people, you need to have something so bad happen to you that it wakes you up to what's going on. But the stuff that he's going through, like, he's had multiple, like, he got in a fight with his brother, he was on the run from the cops. Like, he's getting to the point now where, outside of maybe like a near-death experience, which he might have had and just might not have been reported, outside of something like that, which is one of those ones that tends to sober people up to what needs to be done quicker. But for a lot of them, like, just having the child, it shows the depths of the problems of drugs when that's like, when something is so blatantly needing your help, like a child.
Well, how much did you guys follow Bam
None.
in like his show?
Never.
I saw 1 or 2 episodes of the show that he had. He was really popular with some of like the skater kids that I knew growing up. And I had a hard time with the show because basically they're like, they're basically being immature, like they're pranking each other. They would like do something to his dad, who was like this overweight guy, like all the time. Like they'd run into the dad's room in the middle of the night, like screaming to like wake him up, or they would like, kind of do these like very physically dangerous, what's that show?
Jackasses,
Jackass
like
style.
us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to me, part of that was training Bam that like being immature and destructive was good. It earns you money. You get attention for it. And that translated from being probably a small child to being an adult. Like that was his career. And so I think when you have that ingrained in you, the idea that like you being destructive and you not taking responsibility and you potentially harming other people is ultimately something you are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Especially because he profited off it. It's very hard to unlearn that. And I think unfortunately that's one of the challenges of where we are now. Like
That's
having
scary.
a child isn't enough for him because success and happiness are linked to being irresponsible and immature.
Yeah, big problem a lot of people face is the thing you did to get famous is not necessarily the thing you need to continue to do after you become famous. So like, you know, for whatever reason, he got famous for being an idiot, and now it's time to stop being an idiot and start being a virtuous dude. There's this like glorification of hitting rock bottom that's very dangerous, because a lot of people hit rock bottom and kill themselves or die from alcoholism. They drink themselves. A lot of people, and you don't hear those stories.
Themselves emotional scars they can never recover from.
Yeah. So I don't think that him falling apart is necessarily the best path forward. But I mean, looking at that guy, I don't know anything. I want to like him because people talk highly of him around here. Like, they have a reverence for him because he was a skater. And
he was like a big deal back in the day, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But like everything I hear about him is he's self-destructive. Even the Jackass guys don't want to be around him.
Well,
apparently
like
his ex-wife doesn't want to be around him.
Steve-O took him on tour with him, just basically saying like he's like trying to get him back on track. Like, dude, people want you to make it. Like, nobody's here's rooting for your downfall. So like, but when you're lashing out at your friends and you're not accepting help from them,
and you're like 38 and blaming your family for your alcoholism. What the?
Like, that's crazy.
That's insanity.
That's the first thing you have to dispel.
But I also think it's not like, I think addiction is part of this, but I do think, and I have to stress this like enough, that it's maturity, right? Like, he is not holding himself accountable, not just because of addiction, but because of his personality. So like, if he never had a problem with addiction, his personality would still make it difficult for him to take responsibility for things. I mean, that's just my impression from having never met him in real life.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.